nos presentáis los dos, pues, si igual hacemos levanta, o si queréis también digo, si no. Pero tú tienes que hablar ahí porque yo no, porque yo leo. ¿Tú eres la
Okay, guys, is this working? Can you hear us? Hi guys, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, guys, thank you very much for attending this second webinar. Okay, so in this webinar, we are introducing you our account executives. As you already received your emails on step 4, you already met your account executive, and now is the time for you to ask all the questions regarding your financial and administrative questions. So remember that this webinar is for you to ask all your financial and administrative questions, and the question regarding to the visa process, please send us an email, because at this moment some of you already have your visa, some of you already don't have your visa and have some problems with the consulate and stuff like that. So these are really specific issues that needs to be treated separately. Okay. So we don't get mixed up in very specific questions regarding the visa issues. Okay. So for that specific scenarios, okay, please write us to admission, not with an S at the end, admission at startupchile.org. Okay. It's yes. I'm going to write it. Admission at startupchile.org. Okay, so you write us your visa questions to that email, and Jaime and myself will be answering that email. Okay, so let's make this webinar the best opportunity for you to ask all your questions regarding the grant. Okay, and soon we regarding Kate, yes, we have lots of email incoming, so we are replying on a base of first come first go. Okay. So imagine that at this moment we have been receiving many visa questions. Okay, so after we finish with this webinar, we're going to be answering all those questions. Okay, and let's start this webinar. Okay, so meet your account executives, Javiera and Joseph.
Hi guys, well, welcome to the program. This is your second webinar, and this webinar, as Pablo said, it's focused on the technical and financial process. I'm an account executive and Joseph too, so we're gonna to answer all your questions about these processes. I have already received some questions, so this is the best moment to answer all of them. What is the role of the account executive? We are the person that will follow and track all your progress. So that means there's a technical process and there's a financial process. About the technical, we have to approve all your expenses. So that means you have to have a document that we call budget milestone. That is step by step. So now we are gonna to answer like general questions, and we have after a workshop about the technical and financial process when you will be here. So step by step, baby steps. And so that's really important, because we cannot like approve a salary, for example, right now, or flights or this kind of expenses, because we don't have already your budget milestone and we don't know what you will do. So the first is that you will come to here, you will have the workshop, the financial workshop and the technical workshop, and then you will have your budget milestone, the initial meeting, and that's like the normal process to follow. So that's just to hold the anxiety sometimes. So yeah, we have to the tracking of all these administrative processes. So we will check how the formalization process goes. Don't worry about that. If you have any question about that, you can ask that too. And think that's good.
Yeah, I'm going to read your question. So we already have the first one. It's about the invoices. Yeah. Okay. Hi. First questions. Companies incorporated in US, so foreign, we cannot get invoices for the company. Everything has to be billed to us personally to be approved, right?
Yes, I mean you apply like a natural person, so that means that that all the invoices has to be submitted to you as a natural person. So that's right. Next question.
Can we already get in touch? In touch with contacts from perks as we will like to get a price estimate we will use to determine a budget.
Well, Pablo is one of the first.
Yeah, I can answer that question. I mean, you can start emailing them, but the perks will not be active until we give you all the rules regarding the program. Okay. Some of the perks, for example, the most common perk, for example, Amazon Web Service perk, it has to be activated before a workshop that they do personally in the cowork. Okay. So, for example, one of those perks, you cannot activate them now, but some of them you can already start your conversations with the perks individually, and you can search for them in the Sappers Online website in the section benefits and then perks, okay? And then you can start emailing them. But for example, the most common perk, as I already said, Amazon Web Service, could not be activated beforehand, okay?
Great. So next question, I will read it for you, Joseph.
Yeah.
Can we spend the grant on renting a laboratory space and chemical reagent?
Yeah, that is a good question because it's actually is a technical question because we need to understand what you want or what you need to spend the money in that item. So my recommendation is to make a plan to beforehand make a budget, including that expense. But at the moment, I think you could present that expense as project ones. So yes, but we need to put attention in the details about that expense. But yes.
Next question, Maricruz. Our company is incorporated in Chile. Can we submit the invoices for the company, or the invoices have to be submitted to the team leader personally? So that's kind of that's a question related to the question before. You apply as a natural person, so all the invoices has to be submitted to you like as a natural person, okay? So after, you can incorporate that company to Corfo, but it has to be after, and sometimes there's a delay of 2 weeks, for example, for this process. So I recommend it to you, all the expenses that you are having like right now and until at least 2 weeks after the program started and you have the Corfo contract ready, all the invoices has to be submitted to you as a natural person, okay?
Just a little question regarding Maricruz's question. Is it possible to apply in TSF by like with a company if you're Chilean, for example?
No.
No?
Actually, all of you applied as a natural person, but as Javier says, there is the option to present your Chilean company, only your Chilean company, in order to submit expense with it. So, but the only option to apply in TSF is as a natural person.
Okay, so next question, Alex Plain. Airbnb is not allowed, right? We learned this many weeks after booking an Airbnb for $1,000. Maybe we can get a proper invoice from the Airbnb host.
Yes, but that's not the rule in when you use the Airbnb platform. So if you can get the invoice from the proper host, it is possible to present that expense.
Yeah, that's really important because in general, Airbnb, I mean, not in general, Airbnb doesn't provide like a legal taxable invoice, so we cannot accept it. If you can get the invoice from like the hosted, like the person that hosts you, maybe we can approve it, but from Airbnb, there's no way to approve it, even if it's one day that you stay there or 1 week. It doesn't matter the amount, I mean, how much time you were there, we cannot approve an Airbnb. Okay.
Next one.
Next one.
is from Maria. I will also like to see the option of Airbnb, and I got many paperwork questions from the traditional renting agency.
I think that's clear. If it's not clear, Maria, you can ask again, but yeah.
Traditional renting agency es como una corredora.
Which question are you asking? Like,
We can.
Maria
Did you understand?
answer.
Okay, that's clear. Great.
excellent.
Maricruz asked, for expenses that over 2 million pesos, we have to submit 3 proposals. How long does it take for you to give us your feedback on which provider to use?
Yeah, the most of the time it's super fast to answer that request. So the difficulty is for you getting the quotations. So no, it's a traditional process in order to give you the technical approval. So yeah, no.
There's no worry about the time. It's just you to get these quotations, and it will be okay. Actually, we don't say to you like you have to choose that provider because it's cheapest, or it's the cheapest, for example. We don't do that. It's up to you. Just make sure that the quotations are about the same service, so we can actually compare. But the choice is that's up to you. Okay.
And remember, there will be a mandatory technical and workshop, financial workshop, where we are going to explain all the details about it. So no worries.
Okay, next question. I suggest you warn people about Airbnb when you say they can go ahead and book a place to live for the next batch.
We suggest that?
For example, in the Suppers Online website, we have an accommodation guide that suggests that, for example, do not go into Airbnb. So this is why we gave you like the URL of the Suppers Online website. So, but thank you for doing that. Maybe we have not been that clear enough. Maybe we can, I don't know, include it on an email strategy, for example, or maybe on the WhatsApp group. But thank you so much, Alex.
Okay.
Jorge pregunta, ¿qué es lo que Startup Chile determina como prototipo final para testeo? So what does Startup Chile considers as a final prototype? So all that information regarding like the advance of your project would be inside the playbook. Okay, so inside that document you will find every definition that we consider. Okay, and remember that this is a pre-acceleration program. Okay, some of you might not start in the same stage. Some of you might start from an idea, because this is a completely different program from seed. Okay, we have from seed, for example, we accept from a prototype until like scaling sales. So it might be like a difference in that perspective. So for example, in TSF we accept from ideas because this is a women related program. Okay, so we focus here on another topics. Okay, so that information is inside the playbook. Okay, and it will depend on the progress of your startup. Okay, it will depend on when did you start it, like in the first moment when you started. That will be discussed in the initial meeting, and you are going to be you're going to have a conversation with your account executive and also with your business executive, and we are going to decide what is the progress and what can you commit yourself during that program, okay? So it's going to be measured, okay? So each and every single project is going to be measured in its own specific way, okay?
Okay, great. So next question is Maria. Okay, it's about the quotation. She asked if it's only for the expenses that more than 2 million pesos.
Yeah, it depends on the amount and the kind of expense you expect to make. For example, you have to present the 3 quotations for outsourcings, acquisitions, what else?
Expert?
No, expert no. That's all.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, outsourcings and acquisitions. If you want to hire an expert, you have to present the CV plus the contract notarized. And if you want to make a business trip, you have to present the request to get the thing approved, but it's not necessary to ask for different quotation for that expense. And if you want to make expense for get supplies for your product, it's not necessary to get to ask for the quotation.
Great. Next question is Mara. Right, sí. En caso de elegir pagar nuestro sueldo con los fondos otorgados por Startup Chile, ¿deberemos registrarnos de alguna manera para emitir una factura nuestra? So if there's someone who doesn't speak Spanish, I will try to put that in English. So if I want to pay my salary, we need to do like an administrative or any process additional to get that salary?
It's not necessary to be incorporated in Chile to present your salary as pre-expense because we have a specific procedure to present your salary monthly. But if you want to open a Chilean company, you can present your salary with that Chilean company, Chilean ones. So the answer about your question, it's not necessary to open your Chilean company, the Chilean company.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, there's a process with the SII, the Sistema de Impuestos Internos Chileno, that you have to open first category, but we will explain that on the technical and financial workshop, so don't worry. Now it's really easy and has no consequences, so just don't get confused right now. We can explain that on the technical and financial workshop.
Next one is Mara. Wow.
Mara also, ¿a partir de qué fecha se podrá pagar este sueldo teniendo en cuenta que los fondos están en caso de que esté todo bien con el contrato? Recién luego de 2 meses luego de nuestro arribo, so she asked when the startup can start to get that salary.
Since the starting date of the program, which is March 16.
March 16 then. Next one. ¿A cuántos meses podemos pagarnos el sueldo? So how many months we can get salary?
In the best cases, 5 months, I think. In the worst, 6 months. And the worst cases, 5 months.
Next question, Denise. We have to pay some taxes if we are receiving a salary in Chile. We have to pay some taxes if we are receiving a salary in Chile.
Have to pay some taxes? No, because there are different scales of taxes depending on your amount of your salary. For this case, you don't have to pay because your salary is above of the minimum amount to pay taxes. So no worries.
Another question, we have to pay, the same one. Mara, ¿se puede usar el dinero para comprar un equipo necesario para producir el producto en nuestro lugar de trabajo? En mi caso, Argentina. I would ask you to be more specific about that question, please, so we can go that later.
Yeah,
any comments?
Yeah, include that expense in your budget and present it to your account executive in order to get a proper answer about it, because it's necessary to need to get more information about your project and your solution actually to give you a answer about it. So
yeah, that kind of specificity, probably you will discuss that on the initial meeting that you will have with your account executive and a business accelerator executive also. So the answer is that depends depends on. Next question then is the four stages in the playbook that seem to be all about business in Chile: Chilean user, Chilean revenue, growing Chile. Are they part of evaluation criteria for contract extension? That's another criteria, but it's not the only one. And the stage is a way to prove that you are progressing. It's really focused in Chile because that is one of the criteria that we will measure that impact of the startup here in Chile. But it's one of the many criteria that we have to give or not an extension. Okay, so it's also there's also the technical progress that you have. There's so many.
We use the stages to divide different level of progress in order to give you the helps in order to improve your product. But in the playbook, there is the criteria to select the best startup to give you the extension.
Yeah, always remember that as Startup Chile, we are a public accelerator. Okay, we receive. You are basically receiving taxpayer money from the Chilean people. Okay, so for this program to succeed, we need your projects to impact the Chilean ecosystem. Okay, we are not financing projects, for example, to work that don't have a focus on Chile. Probably there are less likely to get an extension, okay, because they don't have their work orientated in making something inside, making progress inside this country, okay. So this is, of course, it is part of the evaluation criteria.
Yes. Do you have the template for the budget that you go share with us already?
We will share with you the template, but that will be in a couple of weeks. Not right now, just because we have like so many information and it's overwhelming. So don't worry, just step by step. We will send it like in 2 weeks, I guess, more or less. Alex. Okay, makes sense. Thanks. You're welcome. Do you have some statistic about percentage of companies that fail to move on to extend their program contract? Statistic. I guess you're asking about how many startups get the extension,
yeah.
Right? If that is the case, that depends every batch, like
depends on you actually.
And
yeah, usually it will depend on the progress of each startup, and also as we already discussed, it will depend solely on the amount of public money that is allocated within this year. So it will depend on many variables. Okay, it's not that, for example, that every single startup can get the extension. Some of the years. We have been, 20%, some of the years, 30%, but it will depend in every scenario. We have to discuss every single year on how many projects will get the extension, but as we already discussed on some questions like above, it will depend on the evaluation criteria, okay? If you fulfill all your for example, if you exceed on every single criteria that we discuss on the playbook, it is likely for you to get the extension. Okay.
Next one, Mara pregunta: los costos de traslado, viáticos para el pago de movilidad, taxis, etcétera, en caso de visitar a clientes, usuarios, etcétera, ¿de qué manera se rendirían?
So she's asking about the transportation. If you are like visiting some client or users, for example, cabs expenses or flights, I guess, accommodation. So, do you want to answer?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Well, is for example, the taxes of urban transportation is not allowed to present as project expense. So we only approve your trip to from the city to the another city. So for example, if you have to, I don't know, if you want to travel to Buenos Aires or Valparaiso, Chile, we can give you the approval. But if you have to visit a client inside the same city, it's not possible to give you the approval for use the money to that. So the way to present the proper documentation will be explained in the mandatory financial workshop. So no worries. If you already paid your flight tickets, we need to say you that you have to keep the invoices, the itinerary, and your proof of payment, bank statement, or whatever you received when you paid your flight tickets.
Yeah, remember also about the transportation that, for example, so if you're gonna fly to another country and you can get the reimbursement for that expenses, has to be you. I mean, the team leader or the team member. We cannot approve a flight, for example, for employee or an employee or other person that's not a team leader or a team member of a project. Okay. And Mara bueno, si se deberían pagar el sueldo o hay alguna parte del fondo dedicado a esto. Okay, so you're asking if that cost of transportation, you can pay it from your salary. Of course, you can do whatever you want with your salary. And actually, for example, food or this kind of expenses that sometimes you ask to approve, we will not approve it because you can spend the money from your salary to cover that expenses. And okay, so that's it.
That's it. That's one. Jorge say, hay que entregar algún documento para validar el proveedor. En nuestro caso sería una empresa de programación. I understand when you say validate. If you want to get this technical approval for I don't know, sourcing from the provider, a company, a legal document to validate your provider. So it's not necessary. But if you want to hire or if you want to hire a natural person, you have to send us the CV plus the proposal
and the identity
and the copy of the ID.
The copy.
Yeah, the copy of the.
But that would be explained in the
financial and the technical workshop.
Yeah.
Great. Next question then.
Denise,
can we change team leader if we get the extension or can we get the extension if team leader cannot stay longer than the initial 5 months?
No, it's not possible. There are several rules, and one of them is critical. You have to stay in Chile for the acceleration program, and if you get the extension, you have to stay in Chile for those months. And if you want to change the team leader or team member, it's not possible because you're applying with that team. So it's not possible.
Maricruz, since when will we be able to start spending money to get reimbursed on expenses that are not related to travel expenses? For example, purchases to build the prototype. That's a typical question.
Yeah, it's a specific question. At the moment, we are only approving your arrival expenses. For example, if you have insurance, your flight tickets, the visa permit. What else?
Yeah, health insurance, visa, flight tickets,
and your accommodation if you already is in Chile. But if you want to make expense related to the development of your product, you have to ask for to your account executive. So it's a specific question because. So my recommendation is to put in contact with your account executive. Yeah, that's it. What is the next one?
Mara, again, ¿qué tipo de gastos son admisibles para hacer la rendición del 10% que comprometimos para la ejecución del proyecto? So in English, you know that we will give you like the grant for an amount that is the 90%, and you will add the 10%. So she's asking about the expenses that can be related to that 10% that is from you.
The financial standard to approve your expenses is the same for your contribution and our contribution. So it's not necessary to divide the money in the grant and your contribution. So it's the same standard and the same rules.
Yeah, you have to do exactly the same for all the grant, including your 10%, and it's your account executive who will do that division after all is approved. So don't worry about that because that's it to us to do it.
Mara, say, ¿pueden ser gastos realizados en otro país de origen? Por ejemplo, elementos para equipar el laboratorio.
In which, I mean, she asked if you can buy like
But can we make expense in our country? For example, supplies for our laboratory in Argentina. Yes, but we need to to know the details about that expense. But yes, you can present those expenses in your budget.
Yeah, but I think it will depend on the project. It will depend on each and every single project.
Yeah.
So this is why you have to discuss in depth with your account executive, okay, to see what are the incomes, what are the outputs of your project, what is the main process that you have. So this is why it's a more complicated. It's not like an answer that we can give for everyone, okay?
But it depends on your plan. So what you want to achieve during the program, it's necessary to understand your budget and to understand what you want to use the money in specific items or accounts, financial accounts. So,
okay, I have an extra question in the meantime while we are receiving more questions. Do you remember, guys, that when we did the interview, we asked you like a very specific question saying that it will take around 2 months to get the money from Corfo, okay, from the public institution that we are receiving the money, okay? So we ask you that, are you okay on having to cover those 2 months before when you start the program? So regarding that question, is it possible to reimburse the amount of the things that you spend before receiving the money from Corfo?
Absolutely, yeah. The idea, well, sometimes the grant can be a little bit late because visa or some procedure. We are going to be really close to that process, but sometimes it happens anyway. So it's really important that you have your own money to do the expenses for the beginning, and we will accept that expenses if they are technical approved and if you have all the documentation, like the financial documentation necessary. So there's no problem. Okay, that's a really good question. Thank you, Pablo. Okay, there's another question that is from Maricruz. Could we use part of the money to participate in a trade show abroad?
Yes, it is possible to present expense related to events, but that will depend on the kind of events and the kind of service related to the participation. So yes, you could include that expense in your budget.
And we have another question
From Marcus. how long does it take to know if a rendition has been approved or we need to provide further clarification?
Well, that depends. The time that it takes depends on you actually. If you are really organized about your expenses, if all the technical approval are already done, and if you have all the documentation, you can have the approval of the rendition, the financial meeting right there. I mean, it's actually that I think that it's up to you and how organized you are. If there's documents that we need and that are required and we don't have it, we will ask to you, so you will have the information about what documents you need at the same time that you're having our financial meeting. And it's up to you again to submit that documents as fast as you can, and that's the process.
Yeah, the process is just like this. You set the plan up, you present the request for getting the technical approval, and finally you get the financial approval in the financial meeting, which is a face-to-face meeting, which takes in the work cases 2 hours. But that is the process in a regular cases. So try to put attention in our key element in this conversation is to think about your plan. If you have a clear plan, you don't have any issue or matters in the program. So,
we can remember some important dates if you.
Okay. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I see that we already have no further questions. I mean, if you can start writing them as I review some important dates. Okay, first of all, remember that you already have your dates in the calendar, okay? And we are going to keep updating that calendar, okay? The calendar that we sent on step 2, okay? And it is also uploaded in the Sappers Online website. That is going to be your main friend during this program, okay? So go into that calendar, and especially like we have a button there, like plus Google Calendar. You can add that to your calendar, so it's really easy. So it's really important for you to don't miss any single date. For example, when you're going to have a pitch training or a financial workshop, for example, or maybe a financial workshop is canceled and we are moving the date, for example, everything is going to be updated on that calendar, okay? So just to get some of the things regarding your first week in Startup Chile, okay? The first day will be for your generation would be the orientation day, which is going to be the 16th of March. Okay, so the 16th of March is going to be your orientation day. You're going to meet the staff there. You're going to meet about the program Startup Chile. We're going to greet you with an alumni. You're going to meet. You're going to get to know the co-work, and it's going to be a really amazing day for you guys to get to know each other, know know our generation, and yeah, and just to get to know every like how the rest of the week is going to be. Okay. Then the following day, the 17th, okay, we're going to go to PDI with the foreign people. Okay, so this is for you to get a document which will be used in the antecedentes policiales, PDI. It is basically a document that that needs to certify that you already are in Chile. It is a really strange process,
but it's required.
But it's required.
So we are going to go
yes,
with you.
Yes, we know it's the criminal records, but it is required for you in order to get the root number, which is the next day, which will be registro civil, civil registry. Okay, so for that day, we will bring a civil registry officer to our co-work. Okay, so you can get with your paper that you already got the previous day on PDI. And Policía de Investigaciones, you're going to present that document and everything that you need in order for you to get the root number, okay, which is like the number where you can open, that certifies that you are a Chilean citizen, that you are a citizen here in this country. And after that, so the next day, the 18th of March, we are going to have people from BCI Bank, okay, that will come into our cowork, okay. So it is not that we chose BCI for a specific reason. No, it's just because we have an agreement with them, and they are really into taking the risk for some for you guys to be foreign entrepreneurs, and they are willing to open bank accounts, and so they are bringing some executives into our cowork to open the bank account. But when you have the root number, you can open whatever bank, you can choose whatever bank you have, and we have BCI because it's one of our partners.
Sorry about taking your words. It's mandatory to have a Chilean bank account to get the money. So that's why you have to select a different a bank to open a Chilean account.
So the money from Corfo will arrive into your bank account. So this is why we make all this process. Okay. So the process from PDI and Registro Civil is to open a bank account where you will receive the funds. Okay. So everything like all the paperwork that you need to submit will be updated in the calendar, okay? If you click the description, okay, you will have all the information necessary there. And also we will set some reminders on the WhatsApp group, okay? And so the 19th of March, no, the 20th of March, I think it's Friday, isn't it? Yeah, Friday. Friday 20th of March, you will have the icebreaker. The icebreaker, we will keep it as a surprise for you. It's an activity. It's a community activity for you to get your peers. It is the most fun, the most exciting activity. So yeah, be sure to don't miss out that day. From our experience, that day is one of the days where you can start making your first friend in Startup Chile. And from our experience in Startup Chile, and why we have like all the people inside our cover and all that kind of stuff, is that community is one of the main assets in Startup Chile. And for example, if you get to know one startup that works on your same industry, maybe you can have the same clients, maybe you can have some leads, you can share experience. It is really important that you attend all these activities. Remember, every single activity, the orientation week is mandatory. The PDI is mandatory for foreign, for people who are not Chilean, and for people who doesn't have, because I think we have someone from Venezuela. Foreign who is arriving in Chile, but foreign who is living in Chile. They have maybe they have a special residency visa or permanent visa, but yeah, and yeah, on the week after, you're going to have the technical workshop, technical and financial workshop, and also you'll have your initial meeting, okay? And yeah, and everything that you need to check is in your calendar, and also it's in your Cypress Online, okay? So I think we already have some more questions.
Yes. Denise, I guess, how often we will have the chance to meet you guys? Can we submit the expenses to be evaluated by email?
Denise, what do you mean? Like during the program or before arriving in the program? But yeah, Javi is going to answer.
I mean, if you meet with your account executive, we will have some mandatory activities that you already have in your calendar. And also we can have a special meeting about technical progress. So you can ask for it, or we can ask to you for it, and that's kind of up to you too. And if you can submit the expenses to be evaluated by email, yes. you can ask for technical approval, and the normal process is by email. So always. Yeah. Next question is Kate. I'm team member, not team leader. If visa won't get approved before start of program, can we still reimburse expenses for flight, etc.?
Pablo, ¿hasta cuándo pueden tener la visa?
As a team member.
That's depends on case. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very specific case. Yeah, it's a very specific case. Remember, yeah, write to admissions email, because we have to really know your situation before giving you an answer. Okay.
Okay, so that question please to send an email to admission, and they will answer to you. And the other question, criminal records, the antecedentes penales. Thank you, Mara.
Thank you, Mara.
En la cuenta del banco tiene algún costo de mantenimiento, so you have to expend some money because of the bank account. In BCI,
Yeah.
it's for, I mean, that's like $5 monthly for BCI. That's maybe a little.
4,000 pesos.
4,000 Chilean pesos.
Yeah, 4,000 Chilean pesos.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But it's not possible to include that expense in your budget. It's not allowed to present bank fees in the project. Sorry.
Yeah, but every single bank has maintenance fee. So yeah. So yeah, I think that's I think that's it. If you have questions, for example, after watching this webinar, please write us. Okay, we are here. Remember that we are here for you guys. You already met your account executives. Okay, so they will be answering all your questions regarding the funds if you write them in the email dates back there on the Blackboard, and you already received it on your step 4 email. Okay, so thank you very much for attending this webinar. And after we click like finalize transmission, you can re-watch your webinar in case you have another. You came late into the webinar and all that kind of stuff. Okay, and yeah, I think that's it.
Congratulations for being selected to the SEPA level.
Yeah, and for those whose account executive is Cristobal. Yeah, he's not here because he's on vacations. So he sends his regards and to all of the projects that he has in his portfolio. Okay, so thank you very much, guys. Remember that to write us to the admission email, and yeah, and use your WhatsApp group, and hope that you have a nice arrival to Chile.
Yeah,
okay.
Looking forward to meet you here. So
excellent.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.